So you're all very welcome, and it's great to see such a diverse group of people here today representing lots of different aspects of social enterprise. My name's Aileen and I'm the Chairperson of Oakfield Trust. So just to give you a little bit of background about Oakfield, it's a social enterprise that was set up 30 years ago, and as a founding director, that's a bit scary for me that it was so long ago. But it was set up originally to meet the needs of groups in the Clondalkin area. State funding was being made available to organisations, often allowing them to employ staff for the first time. But there was no suitable space in the area to work from. This was the case with the organisation I worked for then, which was Clondalkin Partnership. Excuse me. So a group was decided to look at how we would be able to provide space, and we set up a social enterprise to do it. So at the time, the cheapest and most accessible space that was available was light industrial space that was close to the centre of the village. So we began to look at the possibilities around that space, that we could lease or buy some of the spaces and convert them to meet the needs of organisations, often customising them for organisations who were going to rent them. So what we were able to do was offer flexible leases and shared facilities to the organisations. This was important when most funding that people were getting was on a year-to-year basis, so they couldn't commit to a long-term lease from a commercial entity. So over the years, we've provided space for lots of organisations: the Partnership, the Local Employment Service, the Drugs Task Force, the National Council for the Blind, Citizens Information, Archways, Youth Support and Training Unit, an Intercultural Centre, Dean's Rath Family Centre, and many more organisations. So we also realised at that stage that there were a number of organisations that needed their own space. So one in particular was an addiction support project. It was working, like many organisations were at the time, in two small offices over a shopping centre. They wanted a site that would be acceptable to the community and knew there was a possibility of getting space from the local authority. But they didn't have the time or the expertise to be able to follow through in the project. So Oakfield offered a full project management service to the group as a free service. So we negotiated on their behalf with the council. We discussed with them what their needs were, what space they'd need. We looked at costs. We identified contractors to do the job, and basically handed over the building. They got the keys and were ready to go. We also provided bridging finance for them because, as I think probably everybody in the room knows, you get a price for a building, but there are always extras. So Oakfield were in a position to give them the balance of the money that allowed the project to be completed. We also worked with a resource centre in Balgaddy, and this was a new housing development in Clondalkin, primarily social housing. And while we were delighted to hear that the builder had been conditioned to provide community space, unfortunately that meant 4 brick walls, no services, no interior rooms. So again, we worked with the community to identify what kind of configuration would suit them, what was going to work best to meet their needs, and we project managed again the whole project from start to finish. So this was kind of a new development for us, managing projects in that way. So what I should say in terms of the work that we did and how we funded it, we initially got loans from Cloncredo. They gave us the loan to buy our first property. And then subsequent to that, as the loans got bigger, we got funding from Triodos, which is a Dutch social investment bank. And also, obviously, we were generating income at the time, and that was available to us as well. And just on the subject of income, so I suppose the second objective we had as an organisation was to try and build an asset for the community. As in a way, a bit of a nod to community businesses that had set up in the US and primarily in marginalised and black communities, to develop but also create some wealth within the community. So for us, that was an important objective, and one that we have managed pretty successfully so far. So, and you will hear more from Gareth about what we're currently doing, and a bit about why we're doing and what our new strategic plan is all about. But as an organisation, we passionately believe in the power of social enterprise to provide high quality services and provide opportunities for marginalised groups and communities. We're lucky this morning to have a very full agenda. We have some great presenters. We have very diverse and mixed panels, so I hope it'll be a very interesting and productive morning for everybody here. We're delighted to have Susan Hayes-Culleton with us today as our moderator. Susan is a positive economist, and she told me a bit about what that meant earlier on, a consultant and an author, and she's going to take us through the rest of the morning. So thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you very much indeed for that, Aileen, and it's great to get a sense of the journey of Oakfield as we arrive at very much the present today, and the conversation is indeed going to be very future focused as we go on. As Aileen said, we do have a really packed agenda today, and there will be a coffee break with the most fruitiest scones that you can imagine is out there, and they're really big croissants as well, and there's no calories when you're underground, so we're fine. To get our show on the road, I do want to ask everybody for your interaction with me on something, please. Can I ask you all to take out your phones? And I'm going to just run through this so that you know how to ask questions, but also because Gareth, Aileen and the team are interested, genuinely very interested as well in your thoughts on this. So can I first of all ask you to either go to menti.com and put in the number 15997982, or alternatively, hold your phone up to the QR code and then follow the link that's there. Okay, so I can see 2 of you have done that already. 5 of you have done that already. That number I can see down here on the bottom right hand corner. Okay, so again, I'll just repeat the instructions is go to menti.com and put in the code 1599, or go to hold up your phone and you can zoom in there on the QR code. So I can see there, it looks like most people at the station put the phones down. All right. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions to get started. Number 1, because people really want to know. Number 2, so you're used to the technology for how you can ask questions. And number 3, because I will be putting these sorts of results to the panel as well. Okay, first one. What are your greatest challenges in social enterprise? So in social enterprise today, what are your greatest challenges? And they will appear up here in a word cloud. That's the way that I have designed this one. Okay, so as you can see, they've started to come in there now. Okay. And as a word is repeated more, it appears in a bigger font. So the one I'm sure that we could all expect is front and centre at the moment. Okay, so I'm just going to start reading out what I see as the biggest one. So funding, obviously front and centre. But the other 3 big ones are staffing, understanding and scaling. Okay. Then around that there is national body alignment, growing traded income, communicating social impact, recruitment, generating revenue, loans, attracting talent, legal definitions, company structure, awareness, starting out, workload, generating revenue. I have 22 answers for that now so far. So if I could, governance, you can see there governance is appearing now as well, awareness, understanding. And it's all of those themes that we're going to be talking about today. We're not going to be directly asking, I'm not going to ask people directly what funding is available, that's not necessarily for today, but understanding the approach to funding, understanding the differences between how to boost traded income and the way in which people are doing that, how to scale, where people are generating or creating their staff from, etc. Okay, the next one I'm going to ask you is this. What do you consider the biggest misunderstanding of what you do? And Gareth asked me to put this one in, but it's just interesting that in the last one you said communication, awareness, measuring. So what do you think the biggest misunderstanding is of what you do? Okay. This time I have this that's going to have a rolling effect, so you'll see the answers as they roll through. And also, like I say, I want to give the time as well to the panellists to see what appears up here so that they have a chance to let that percolate through in line with what I'm going to ask. Yeah, okay. So again, it's pretty easy to summarise this. The number one issue that's coming up here is profit. The connotation that social enterprise doesn't make a profit. Second one is that it's not a charity. Third one is the public is not aware of what we do, so awareness broadly. Another one here is not understanding the social impact, and our first panel today is about achieving real social impact, so we're going to get into the nuance of that. And also this one, people don't understand how social enterprise really works. People think we just do one thing, they don't realise the variety of impact we have. And when we talk about developing the space, which we'll do in the second panel, that's where we're going to very much talk about the complexity of the impact, depth of the impact, breadth of it, transforming the impact, etc. Okay, all right. So I did say I'm not going to be asking people directly what sort of funding mechanisms are available there today. Today is not the day to discuss that. But when Gareth and I were talking about asking this question, what we do want to take is an opportunity to peer learn also from each other. So what advice do you have for those seeking funding based on your experience? Or what opportunities do you think there are around funding? And of course, this can be traded income as well. This isn't just about seeking public income, etc. So what advice do you have for those seeking funding, or what growth areas are you seeing in this area? What advice do you have for others? In terms of a summary of what's appearing up here, I will be recording a LinkedIn Live later on. I'll be tagging all of the speakers, so I will put together a summary of the key insights of what we're generating here and what comes out of the panel. So just want to make that point. Okay, so what we've got here is your social enterprise development officer is the first call. Consider social finance, look for long-term commitments and funds, keep an eye on socials for opportunities, look outside the box, make strong connections, maintain them over time, network. Don't focus on what you do, focus on the problem that you're trying to solve in society, answer the why you do, not what you do. Do a lot of due diligence, and the one point up here, the first one in here was research. Gather case studies as you go. Easy navigation of the funding environment. Funding needs to change, and we need to be clear about what's needed for different stages. And again, that conversation will be threaded through right throughout as well. So there's some people who are actually giving more than one answer, which we very much appreciate. I can tell that, because there's 22 answers and 18 people who have contributed them. So that's great to see. And of course, as I say, we will be weaving those in as we go through. So this is the technology we're going to use for the questions. So I'm just going to leave this here now. which is a way in which you can ask any question you want, and I also want to point out that you can upvote them. So when people send in a question, they will also appear here from an upvoting point of view. Now I'm going to take away this screen. I just want to make that point. It's live, it's still live, it's just we need now for Gareth and for Joyce to be able to have the screen so that they can present their slides. So when this appears here again, then your questions will appear, and then I'll navigate the way through there. So, two other things that I want to mention from the point of view of housekeeping. Number one is we are actively inviting people to make sure and tweet today on social media and to use the hashtag social enterprise. I have started already, and also is to tag Oakfield as well. So tag Oakfield if you're tweeting, also if you're using Instagram, if you're using LinkedIn, if you're using Facebook. Because we would of course like if you would promote what is going on today. And then finally, I do promise that we will make sure to run today on time, and to make sure that we are finished the formal side of what we're doing today by 1:30, and then there will be lunch at 2:30 with a coffee break in between. So on that note, I'm now going to ask Gareth to join us here at the top. If you are ever in doubt as regards what's going on, of course, the agenda is right here in front of you. So can I now ask Gareth Ebbs, Social Impact Manager of Oakfield Trust, to come to the top of the room. Thank you, Gareth.
Thanks a million, Susan. Hi everyone. So thanks a million to Aileen and Susan. Great to see such a good attendance here, and I know there's a really diverse group of people here, which is great. I'm Gareth, and I'm the Social Impact Manager at Oakfield Trust. I was lucky enough to join Oakfield Trust last summer and begin what's already a very interesting journey into social enterprise. My own background is quite diverse. I spent probably equal time in public and private sector, from mortgage underwriting to project management to managing funds for disadvantaged students. And I even spent 5 years making a living as a musician. It was a very interesting period, and also gave me the opportunity to do a bit of volunteering, which had a big impact on me. I suppose, like a lot of people, I've always considered myself reasonably socially conscious, but if I thought I was prepared for the kind of talent and vision and the humanity that's in this sector, I was very wrong. It's really been a fascinating and humbling experience so far, and I'm looking forward to being even a small part of making things happen through the activities of Oakfield Trust. So Aileen covered a few things, and hopefully we won't be repeating too much stuff, but just a few words about Oakfield Trust. As Aileen mentioned, for nearly 30 years now, Oakfield Trust have been supporting the local community in Clondalkin and beyond. Our core activities are providing property-based services and supports to assist community and local projects to flourish with a view to benefiting the wider community. Our primary activity is property management and development, mostly involving acquisition, customisation and management of properties that are leased to organisations working with marginalised groups in socially excluded communities. So up to now we have supported a total of 18 social enterprises and community organisations with a range of supports, including premises, project management, loan and grant funding and board expertise. At the moment we own 3 properties and lease 2 properties in the Clondalkin area, which are all leased or subleased to social enterprises and community organisations. I've featured some of these on the slides here, and I'll talk very briefly about them. So Recreate is a national reuse social enterprise based in Ballymount in Dublin. They take end-of-line and surplus stock from businesses and reuse them as art materials. So that makes art materials and educational supplies accessible and affordable to every sector of the community for all kinds of creative purposes. As you may have noticed, your conference programme comes in a somewhat unusual format today. So I want to thank Liz and Emma at Recreate for putting that together. That's a small illustration of what they can do at Recreate. You can check them out at recreate.ie. So Recycle It is a multi-award winning community-based social enterprise specialising in recycling waste electrical and electronic equipment. We have a long and proud association with Recycle It, and hope to continue that long into the future. They're based in Clondalkin, and you can check them out at recycleit.ie. Balgady, as Aileen mentioned, the Balgady Child Family Resource Centre is based in Clondalkin, and it provides vital services and support to children and families living in the area. That includes family mornings, healthy food made easy, community coffee mornings, family days, after school activities and new mum support. It's an extremely busy and dedicated centre. Tús Nua is a passionately run and successful community-based addiction support centre in Bonaul, Clondalkin, and it provides holistic and therapeutic service to clients over 18 years of age. ACE Enterprise Park is a community development organisation that provides support, training and flexible workspaces to small to medium-sized businesses. They have premises in Bonoak and Neilstown, and they promote and encourage an enterprise culture across the community. We are also the management company for Nanger Road Business Park. That's a small commercial business park in Clondalkin, Dublin 12. And within the park we own Unit D, which is leased on a long-term basis to the South Dublin County Partnership. Having visited all the places mentioned and spoken to the staff there, I can really testify to the massive impact they're having in the community and the brilliant work by the staff and volunteers there. We also donated 130,000 in funding to national and local initiatives to combat the effect of COVID-19, and that was just at the start of the height of the pandemic. That included 75,000 to the Rethink Ireland Innovate Together Fund and 45,000 to the Children's Rights Alliance Emergency Food Provision Scheme, which is aimed at addressing food poverty across Ireland, and funding was matched by the governments in those cases. So, needless to say, obviously social enterprise is something we believe in very strongly, and we've good reason to, obviously, because we've seen how effective it can be in our local community, and we would like to expand the sector. I suppose we see the potential to drive change, to address social issues and to engage with both emerging and live groups which may require assistance. So we recently launched our first social enterprise grant fund. That was a bit of a headline grabber earlier on this year. But it's just one part of what we believe is the natural progression of the organisation from a strategic perspective. This fund will directly fund social enterprises and social entrepreneurs in the locality and beyond. We closed our first funding window on the 12th of May, and as you can see from the stats on the screen there, we got a huge response, and at the moment we're getting through the applications, which is keeping us nice and busy, I can tell you. Obviously getting a great response is good, but it does present its own problems, and we're well aware that it's a small fund in comparison to some of the larger funds. We're tweaking it as we go. We knew we probably wouldn't get it 100% right the first time around, so we'll see how we go with the next application window. So the new fund, as I mentioned, is part of our overall strategy to increase the profile and development of social enterprise in Clondalkin, South Dublin and beyond. Our aim would be to develop a pipeline of social enterprise by being a source of critical financial support, particularly at the outset of new social enterprises and during initial startup phases. We're working on identifying an ideas bank of possible key areas of social enterprise which may have been successful in other territories that have potential to be nurtured or developed locally. And with that in mind, we're certainly eager to hear from anyone in the existing community who may be interested in scaling or diversifying into some of those key areas or a new area with growth potential. We're also not ruling out being involved in the setup of new social enterprises directly ourselves, if we think there's a need for it in the space. So other aspects of our strategy in the short to medium term are to try and nurture the space locally by way of information and support services, and in due course putting on events to engage the community with networking opportunities. In the medium term, we're determined to identify and source more funding for the organisation so that we can increase our impact in the locality. That'll obviously involve collaboration with various partners, public, private, local, regional, national and international, many of whom are here today, and we look forward to those conversations and to see what may be on the horizon. So, on to today. I suppose this event is a great opportunity for us all to be together and to see where we're at. As they say, there really is a fantastic range of people in the room today, from the social enterprise and the community sector. And my hope is that in our discussions we can, I suppose, get right to the point of how we can all improve what is happening in the space. So our first segment on achieving real social impact is a chance to focus on some of the brilliant work happening on the work integration side of social enterprise and beyond. You're going to hear from Joyce Murray, who is director and founder of an amazing social enterprise in Scotland with a great story, Grace Chocolates, and then some panel discussion afterwards. And then in our second segment on developing the space, we're going to open the discussion out in more general terms and have a conversation about the things we're doing well and I suppose the things that we might improve. At the outset there, we'll have a presentation from Karen Lee, who is the CEO and founder of Sensational Kids in Ireland, which is a hugely successful Irish social enterprise which has directly impacted the lives of over 9,000 children with additional needs from all over Ireland. We're hoping for some tangible outcomes which might benefit the whole community today, from social entrepreneurs to funders to advocacy bodies right up to our friends in the DRCD. I've had some really interesting conversations lately about where social enterprise is moving, and there are some very topical and developing areas, and there are certainly no better people to discuss it than the fine folks we have on our programme today. I'm really looking forward to the discussion, but I'm just glad I'm not the moderator. I do want to say something on a personal note as well. I suppose, of course, we are here to discuss how we can improve things, but I would like to acknowledge that one of the reasons we're also here is that there is so much happening, and there are a lot of people doing really amazing things out there. We know it's not an easy road, far from it. We really appreciate and respect what you guys are doing, and we hope that events like this can help us to assist you in any small way. Please do make yourself heard and have your say. We look forward to hearing from you. I hope this is a really enjoyable day for you all, and don't forget to say hello afterwards.